This is The Chris Heasley Show, coming to you from Radiodabang, the North America's premier broadcasting network.
Radio show on Radiodabang, which is not just North Premier's premier broadcasting network, but it is North America's premier Bollywood broadcasting network, broadcasting from Fort Bend County into the Indian subcontinent and all the way across USA and Canada. And we have a great show today. Looking forward to it. We have two incredible guests. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I can't wait. On today's show, we have Alexandria Nicole Butler, who is currently a Republican candidate for Texas House District 46.
146.
Oh, 146. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, I am running in Texas House District 146. I'm pretty excited about it.
I want to hear all about that race. And then we have Lauren B Pena, Republican candidate for Congressional District 37, which is outside of Austin, Texas. Correct?
Yes, sir. I am the first viable Republican campaign that's ever happened in Austin, Texas. And I think that if anybody's going to flip this district, it's me right now because the situation's set up that way.
Okay, so I want to hear about that. But before we get into that, let's hear about your story. Tell me about yourself. You have an incredible story. I want to hear about it. Please start from the beginning.
Well, I'm no Kamala Harris by far, but I was born in the middle class and up in Virginia. And my father actually got sentenced to 25 years in prison when I was, a really young kid. In Virginia, there's no parole, so he was gone. And so my mom ended up remarrying to a Texas man, so moved us down here to Texas at 10 years old. So that's where I've been ever since. But we didn't have the greatest relationship, the whole step-parent thing, and I was kind of in the way. Needless to say, by 16, I ended up pregnant, and my parents ended up kicking me out of the house. And so I found myself, on the streets, and I started getting involved with gangs and things like that. So by 19, I'm in the
If I may ask, if we can step back just a second.
Yeah.
Why would your parents kick you out of the house at 16 years old?
Well, we can blame that on our insurance industry.
Mm-hmm.
So my stepfather made technically too much money to qualify for Medicaid. But at the time, United Healthcare would not cover a pregnancy for someone who was not the, head of household or their spouse.
Right.
So because I was a child, the healthcare wouldn't cover me. So I had no healthcare coverage, and my parents were like, we can't afford this.
Wow.
So thank you, United Healthcare.
That's a tough decision. So you're 16 years old, you're pregnant. And so what do your parents do? Do they walk you to the door? How does a parent do that?
Oh my gosh. So they had convinced me to go to this teen mom pregnancy home over in Fort Worth. And I was really against it, but I ended up, agreeing because my parents were moving over to the Austin area. And so I was going to go to that teen mom home. Well, they told me when I was signing the paperwork and stuff that I could not have the father of the child in the delivery room or anything like that. I couldn't have any contact with him. And, I'm 16 years old. So I think this is the love of my life.
How old was the father?
19.
Mm-hmm.
He was 19. And so I ended up not going to that place. So I didn't have a place to live. So I ended up moving in with his family. And the first time, honestly, that he hit me was the day I told him I was pregnant. And I remember at times it got so bad that he had punched me in the face one time, and I was literally bleeding on his mom's carpet, and his mom started yelling at me. So it was a really bad situation. It was hard to get out of.
What it is that, and I'm not justifying his actions, but what happens is that now he's in a pressure cooker situation because he has this responsibility that he didn't prepare for in life.
Right.
His mom has that. So your parents feel the pressure. You get pushed out. And then him and his mom, same pressure, and you're at the butt end of that stick as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I ended up in the streets of Austin, Texas, and I found what I thought was safety.
Okay, real quick. So your first night out on the streets, tell us about that. You're 16 years old?
Well, no. It was by 19 that I was like around gangs
This whole
and things
process.
like that.
But that first night out on the streets, tell me what they said, I'm sorry, there's the door. What happened?
I ended up at my baby's dad at the time at
Right.
his parents' house.
And then after
But
that,
after you left there, like what types of emotions did you have your first night on the street? Like, what is that like? Like, paint a picture. Like, because there's a lot of people going through that.
Yeah.
I was just actually driving recently in the streets, just DoorDashing, working and stuff, and I'm seeing a lot of young people.
It's tragic,
They're
man.
all under 25. They're between the ages of 16 and 25. Young males, young females, walking the streets. It was cold, just with blankets, no coat. I mean, I'm telling you, in the hundreds, I'm seeing this. So maybe paint that picture for people, you know, because a lot of people don't know what to do with their kids. Maybe they have a mental issue. Maybe there's something going on. They put their kids out because they don't know what to do. They're putting them out of the home. What is that first night like? When you're thrust out, you've always had some sort of shelter. You've always had something, some food in your belly. What type of mindset do you have that first night?
and what is the experience like?
What is
Tell
it
us
like?
every part of that first
Yes.
night.
So
Don't hold back, girl.
So when I was in Fort Worth with that baby's dad, that was still like in the suburbs.
Yes.
So it's a lot different situation than being in the city, right?
Right.
But the issue with the suburbs is there's not the same kind of community resources or anything
right.
like that. There's also not buses for you to get places.
That's right.
And so he was a bad guy. He's been in and out of prison, and that's how I ultimately ended up getting away from him because he finally went to prison.
Yes.
But he would steal a lot for money. So we had like a little apartments here and there, and then we'd get evicted for domestic violence, and then we'd stay at other people's house, like all around like the outskirts of Fort
Right.
Worth. And I mean, there was times where I was only allowed to go because I was a car hop at Sonic. So that was great. And I was really good at it. I took a lot of pride in my work because I was a skater and I loved it.
I love that.
Yeah. And then it got to a point when I couldn't work anymore because he was so abusive that it was
Right.
hard for me to even get to work. And so I remember being literally locked in our back bedroom because there was a 2-bedroom, and I was in there for like months and I couldn't leave. I didn't have a phone, anything like that. And he would bring in other girls and like they would have parties and stuff in the other room. So I'm literally like back in this room and I'm not allowed to leave. And he would just be having parties and like the cops would always come and things like that. And I don't know, it was insane. But
But he was kind of holding you hostage.
now that I'm older, thinking about it, yeah, definitely.
I mean, because I understand you're young
right.
and you're probably afraid to just leave. Because
Well, and
a
couldn't
lot of
leave.
people don't understand when they say, "Oh, just leave them when you're in an abusive situation." It's not that easy. You're first of all, you kind of suffer from a place where you don't know how to be alone. Okay, you don't know how to be alone. You are sort of dependent on this individual because, like you said, when times got desperate, he had to steal, right? So y'all could eat, things like that, so you could pay your rent, so you could make rent. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just going through your mind as a young person. I mean, so when you finally got away, you know, he's in jail now, right? What happens?
So I was able to get my first apartment in Austin, Texas. It was off of like Riverside. I think at the time it was like $500. Crazy. But I started running around in the streets because I didn't know anybody. And so I ended up getting like involved with gangs. And that was, how
You wanted family, you wanted community.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're seeking.
Yeah. And so I remember I think I was like 21, literally walking into my own apartment and literally seeing like bricks of marijuana like stacked up to the ceiling.
Yes.
And at the time, I had no idea about like gangs and stuff. Like I was from the suburbs.
Right.
And so like I walk in this room and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is my life now. And I remember being like shocked, but I think by the time I was 21 and I saw that, I want to say I almost didn't really have like a soul anymore. I was almost to the point where like I just wasn't a person.
You were numb.
I was completely numb. And so that was just the start of it. And then I would see things like our doors would get kicked in by the cops and they would see stuff, but nobody would go to jail. And like, I was like, what in the world is going on?
So hold on. So you said nobody would go to jail. this is the kind of thing that we talk about. Suppliers seem to evade prosecution. How?
So I would argue that at that point, besides when it ended up in human trafficking, but that strain on my head and on my mentality of wondering, why was I not arrested because I was inside of the house? Why, like, are they just following me? Are they stalking me? And so the constant thought of this intense police surveillance really had like a detrimental effect on my psychology. Like I mean, it was.
I can imagine.
I would say that was probably the most traumatic part about everything, even like the trafficking.
What was your opinion about police during that time? Because you know how like when you're kind of living that kind of a life, right? You might not have a favorable view towards police. Did you?
I mean, you have to understand at the time I was literally, I was working inside of like a strip club and stuff.
Right.
And I was basically the one that was providing, the substances to these rich people, to the party and things like that.
Party favors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so literally the cops would come in and buy dope and then just like set their badge out on the table and just laugh. And so I'm like, okay, like this is insane.
So you're seeing both sides. You're seeing the real undercurrent then.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. And so like I'm in this really weird dynamic in Austin, Texas, because there's this gang world that kind of runs everything, but then there's the political world that kind of runs everything. And then there's just the people walking out and about. And it's like on a day-to-day basis, I'm living in three worlds.
Right.
And so it's really interesting, but I know that that's what makes me the right person to be in this position.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, you were providing a necessary function for the cartels because you were setting up dope deals. Is that correct? Or I'm sorry,
You're a liaison.
Yeah,
You're
how was it
kind of
working?
like a liaison. For them.
And let me be clear. I don't, and I guess they did this
What were you doing at the
intentionally.
strip club? I'm sorry, please.
Yeah, so I was providing substances, but I don't actually know who the people, like what they are. I don't know their name, and I think that was intentional. So
Right.
you could say like the term cartel is very vague because there's so many different ones. So
Right.
if you were to ask me like what gang was it, what cartel was it,
Right.
I have theories in my mind, but there's nothing more than theories.
They're all connected. Like it wouldn't matter. Like back in Wichita, Kansas, they've got different Latino gangs like the Norteñas and the Sureños, but they're all connected to the Mexican mafia. Like, and then they're all like how they divvy up money, how they divvy up territories. They are very bloody organized. I mean, these people have things going on. Like it is by design that somebody might call themselves God or their name might be Heaven. So you'll tell the police, I got this from heaven. That sounds silly, but you'll never know their name. You'll never know, their spouse. You'll never know where their real home is. They've got all of these corporations that look legit, that cover up, and so they can launder money. So, I mean, the strip club is probably a money laundromat. It was probably a laundromat.
Absolutely. And the issue with that, and I've taken a lot of hits for this because the establishment Republicans want to say that I'm lying, but there are a sitting state senator
I believe it.
that actually would come in and he would buy what's called funny money. And so basically you'd slide your credit card and you would get fake like money, right? In 20s. And he would buy hella dope and girls and like take them home and things like that. I never participated in those activities, but I did, sell narcotics to people with which I would say is taxpayer funds.
Right.
And the thing is that these establishments, they are criminal organizations.
absolutely.
100%.
When you say establishments, you mean the strip clubs?
Yes. Yes. And so, later on down the road, and in fact, I would argue because of that state senator, I ended up being in places where I was no longer useful as being the person that provided the club with its essential function,
Right.
as you would.
So, in real quick, if I can repeat, what you essentially were doing is you were in the club, but you were not dancing.
Right.
You were not doing tricks, right?
So no, I did because, it was all a power structure. You have to understand,
You
like
have
being
to
a,
dance. You
being
have to
a
either
da-
dance or bartend in a strip club,
Right.
Because you're not the house lady, you're not the DJ. Everybody has to perform a function there outside of what you're
Right.
of what you're talking about.
Right.
So I'm very familiar with that with
Right.
that establishment and that setup, you have to bring in money. Everybody has to bring in money. Otherwise, you're not of any use.
Absolutely. And so like I did dance, but I didn't do any of those other sort of things. I didn't have to. But
Right.
what people don't understand is inside the club, it's a gang too.
It is. Oh,
And
yeah.
so like, you know, I have to tell you that's how I got blinded because like I'm basically like running the gang of the club.
Right.
And so I feel invincible. I feel like, you know, I'm safe for once I have a family.
Because you're bringing in good cash
Right.
from selling drugs.
That's right.
Not that I got to keep it, but
Right, but I mean, but you're channeling it, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And then, you know, you're seeing all of these important people come in
Yes.
and like the fact that, you know, a lot of people wonder like, oh, you're sitting here talking to so-and-so that's a really big deal. And to me, I'm like, that's not a big deal. Like, you know,
Right.
this has been my life.
Right.
And so it's really unique, but I know that it was a false sense of safety.
It is.
And so I, you know, after I got out of that false sense of safety, I was no longer in a safe position. And so at the
Because
worst,
you knew too much.
right? And I would argue they tried to kill me. They tried to kill me, and I
course.
survived.
How did they try to kill you?
They got me on drugs. They put me in places where another gang was trying to steal me.
Real quick, why did they try to kill you?
I think because I was no longer useful.
You were no longer useful because something happened, and then you were essentially fired from that essential position of channeling money for drugs.
Right.
Basically.
Wow.
And what happened is you rubbed up against a senator in the wrong way, and he said, "Can her," right?
Somebody said you got to go.
And he's
You knew
a
too
prominent Texas official.
Yep, and he's in office right now. And so, like I said, I've been getting a lot of kickback from.
I want you to know I'm not surprised.
Well, you know, here's the funny thing about that. When I finally had told a couple people, like in my local party, because I was a precinct chair, who it was, they're like, "Oh yeah, we knew that." And then I said the establishment, they're like, "Oh yeah, we knew that." And I'm like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you in positions of power? If you see something and you're not doing something about it, sit down, get out of here, move aside for somebody who's going to stand up and fight for the American people. That's our responsibility."
Do you think they care about the American people, or do you think they care about a career and a
Yeah,
position
right.
and power?
I really think that it's definitely the next one, but it's also they feel you have to understand like the local Republican parties and these local clubs, they get pleasure out of the power feeling like they're moving everybody around.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you
gets
see
pleasure
it,
out of that?
but
So-
you're seeing it for what it is. I'm telling you, there is so much corruption when money is involved. I promise you, money and power, you will see people go into action. I've seen it like growing up in the church, and because I by any means, I actually lived your life too, very similar, very, very similar lives. But I also grew up in the church, right? I've seen the political structure. When money is involved, they will make money on the backs of the regular people, but there is a gang that controls everything on the inside, and you best believe that they're not going to let anybody get up here that is not going to bring money from these regular people.
So this guy says, "I want her gone."
Yes.
And you've seen too much, you know too much. So now you're a liability to both the cartels and the political establishment in the state of Texas. So what happens next?
So I end up eventually in a place called Paradise in San Antonio. It's not Paradise. It's a 24-hour club. So that means that they don't have a liquor license.
Right.
People bring in their own liquors.
Yep.
It's an after hours
After
club.
hours club.
Yes, it's an after hours club. It's right off 35. And you know, there's back rooms. There's a lot of things that are going on. And ultimately, I got drugged, which, you know, that happened a lot. And now, honestly, I'm at the point, if you roofie me, I know it's coming. I can control it. It's ridiculous how much I know my body now at this point after all
Right.
these years. But at that time, I was too young. And so I got drugged. And there was a back patio to this place, right? And so you could
That's where
kind
they
of
smoke and hang out and stuff.
and you could kind of get in and out back there, and so you know there wasn't security checking, whatever.
Right.
So I got drugged, and one gang tried to steal me. Well, the establishment, I guess they're run by another gang, and
Yes.
so one of them came and fought for me, saved me. I remember being like drugged back into the dressing room by this person who literally just saved me from being stole by another gang. And I guess the retaliation that I got for being saved was I was in this place for weeks at a time, and managers and people, they're just like raping me, and
They kept you drugged up too?
yeah, and so like I didn't have any way to get out because you have to pay a fee to leave.
Yeah, you do.
And
You have to
so-
pay everybody out before you
See,
leave
this
a
is
strip
human
club.
trafficking right here.
Yes, this is exactly what that is.
And this is nothing that you hear when the authorities come out and say we're solving human trafficking. They are feeding you nonsense. This is the stuff. Go ahead.
But I mean, I would like to, that's a very dramatic version of human trafficking, but I would like to argue that every single strip club in the United States is human trafficking.
It is.
Because these girls, they are not paid to be there.
That's right.
When they get there, they have to pay a fee.
Yes.
Then they have to tip out the managers if there's more than one.
The DJ?
The DJ, the house
lady.
mom.
Yep.
And I'm saying if you're working at a good club, even, on a Friday night, you could pay $500 to $1,000 just to be at work. So
Right.
understand, what happens if you're a mom and you have kids? What happens if you don't have a house and you're living day by day in a motel? So then you're having to get enough money to go to a hotel to pay for that night for your children. You're having to eat out because there's no kitchen.
Right.
And then you're having to pay these clubs.
Right.
And a lot of people, they're going to say, oh, well, why didn't you just get a job? Well, here's the problem with getting a job. You have to wait 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks before you get
Get a
paid.
check.
So what are you going to do with you and your kids during that 2 or 3 week time
Right.
period? And at the same time, there's people intentionally putting you on drugs.
That's right. And they keep you loaded on drugs. They find out what you like. I mean, because you'll admit it, over a course of a couple drinks, and they'll find out what you like. They'll find out what you don't like, and they'll find out, ways to keep you docile. Keep you doing what they want you to do. But what you're saying is the real life of a lot of strippers that a lot of people don't know about. They think it's all, these people are degrading themselves for money. Before they leave, I'm telling you, they're paying a good $1,500 in a strip club. It's not like they're walking out with $1,500. You seeing all that money floating around. They are coming out with maybe $300. Maybe.
So essentially, these establishments are completely entwined and entrenched with the political authorities.
Oh,
And the gangs. I mean, it's gangs. Like they're all clicked up.
think about these concentric circles. That's where they overlap. Is through sex.
Yeah, because basically this is my argument, right? So they come out and they're like, we're stopping human trafficking. We're going to do a sting, which what they do is they do they bait men for prostitution. And then
Entrapment.
Entrapment. They do an entrapment sting.
Legal entrapment.
Right. And then they say that they're solving human trafficking, and they get, guys that don't look like they're the real, threats to society. And I'm saying this is nonsense. Now, all the, society's jumping on, yeah, get him again. I'm like,
Do you think they're going to mess up their livelihoods? They're hypocrites.
Yeah, I mean,
this is what they do. This is their fun. There are things going on behind the scenes. These individuals' sex is a very big part of the political sphere.
Basically, my argument is that if they want to solve it, they can solve it.
They could. It's easy.
40 years ago, they declared war on drugs.
Yes.
And they have, since those 40 years, they've had endless budgets, personnel, staff, military-grade armaments, surveillance tools, and yet the drug business is booming.
Right.
They don't want to solve it.
No.
And if you want to solve it, you have to end the supply, not the consumers, the supply. If you want to end drugs, you have to go up the distribution channels and shut them down.
That's right.
They can do it. They don't want to do it.
They don't.
What they do is they keep policing the consumers because they're no threat. There's an
big
endless
business.
supply of them, and they get all the political benefits from doing that.
They get grants.
And that's my argument against when I see this human trafficking. My concern and my fear is they are setting us up for another 40 years, and they're going to let this industry boom just like they did drugs before it.
So I do want to say that I have a solution. So actually being a survivor and a candidate for United States Congress, I've already begun to draft legislation that I think will address that problem. It's also going to cross into, human trafficking prevention, but also welfare fraud prevention and making our Department of Labor statistics more correct.
Right.
So my legislation, it's called the Safe Nights Act. And basically it would require that every adult establishment have to have the girls as an employee instead of an independent contractor.
That's where
Yes.
they're protecting themselves.
Absolutely. And so what happens if they have to be an employee? They have to show ID. They have to
Right.
show their social security card. Like there was clubs that I was in where it was like you didn't need no ID.
Right.
There was
you just walk in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so, that's the first step. You're going to have them as employees instead of W-2 workers. And that's going to stop, the traffickers from being able to leave them in places like I was left in for weeks at a time.
On that level. And then we've got the unprotected children. And then we've got, this side fighting very hard to keep them unprotected, opening Pandora's box in their libraries through certain types of things they're teaching them educationally, through them infiltrating through our televisions, our social media, our all of our technology. Sex is being thrust on our children. They're unprotected. A child walking home by themselves. We've got, parents can't be everywhere at once. I mean, I know for me being a millennial, I was a latchkey kid. There were many opportunities to be stolen as a child.
Yes.
Our kids are unprotected. I agree with your legislation on that level. I think we're going to have to probably put our heads together and do something more to protect our children because this is unacceptable.
Okay. So I got one argument for you. So there's a contentious battle between Congress and the FBI. And the FBI wants a new $1 billion building. And Congress has the ability to approve or deny it. So they deny it as they should. So what the FBI does is it announces it's going to release the names of a madam prostitution, their clientele list of the top prostitution establishment in D.C. And what happens? They get their building.
Right.
Okay, so my point being is there's a couple of things that need to happen. Number one, we actually have to expect our authorities to prosecute blackmail.
Yes.
Like blackmail has to be prosecuted 100%. Right. Number two, crimes need to be classified based on degree, and prostitution needs to be a far step down from human trafficking.
It is. It should be. Yes.
So if these guys are out there getting their jollies off with paid ladies of the night, okay, that is a crime that is a much lesser degree crime, and it should. What I'm trying to say is that we need to put things in perspective, right? The congressman goes out and does that deal, and now all of a sudden, all of us have a problem.
Yes.
Right? And men have had that itch and that need since the beginning of time.
Right.
And so we have to ask the question, to what degree do we police prostitution? Okay.
I think the pimps should be prosecuted a lot harder because if a woman is being controlled by a man, men have this ability. They're stronger physically. I mean, I'm not trying to get into a gender war here, but I'm just going to be honest and real. A man is stronger. He can control a woman and force her to keep doing this even after the time she decides she doesn't want to do it.
I mean, like the prostitution laws create human trafficking.
It does.
Because, okay, so I know of a woman through a friend, and essentially she was an independent prostitute. And what happened is that the pimp of that corner sought her out, entrapped her,
they do that.
Beat her up,
Yes.
did everything to her. And at that point, she goes from a prostitute to being a human trafficked.
That's human trafficking. Yes.
She can't go to the cops because of her practice.
Right.
So all of these women of the night, and what they do is not a good thing, but they are God's children at the same time.
That's right.
And they are all vulnerable to predators.
Yes, they are.
Because they can't go to cops.
A lot of prostitutes are very good people. There are people that don't know how to establish boundaries a lot of times, people that have been molested, people that have been in situations where they don't know how to overcome. Maybe, they don't know how to say no or they're not strong enough. They are easily controlled by somebody else and able to be put into these situations where they can't say no anymore. And they're so weak that even if they wanted to say no, they could not. Okay? And it doesn't matter. Even if, and I'm not trying to be gross, even if it's their time of the month, they still have to perform. And so I think that's why I say it becomes human trafficking when a pimp is involved. When a woman is independently doing that, that's a choice she's made.
But the establishment, like these clubs,
Yes.
like
Okay, hold the
club
thought for
stuff.
1 second, please. I want to go our featured product, which is the X39 patch. Guys, this technology is incredible. This is the fastest growing company in the world 2 years in a row. The product is flying off the shelves. Why? Because what this product has done is it is a photolight therapy that stimulates and awakens dormant stem cells. So when we're babies, we are flush with stem cells. They're everywhere. They're vibrant. They're growing. They keep a baby young. But with each passing decade, they go dormant. So what people do typically is they get stem cell injections. Stem cell injections, they pull those from dead babies. It's a gross, horrific practice, but it makes a person look young. It makes a person feel young. That's why this is done. Okay, well, what this product does is it stimulates, it wakens your dormant stem cells. It wakes them up. Now, here's the stat I'm going to tell you, which is going to be very hard to believe. This is a patch that you place on your body. It's photolight therapy. It triggers the copper peptide that awakens your stem cells. This is clinically proven. And this is what is going to be very hard to believe, is that what this technology does with 6 months of use, it turns the age of your heart back by 8 years. I'm going to say that again. With 6 months of use, this product turns the age of your heart back by 8 years, by almost a decade. It's not anti-aging. It's not slowing aging. It reverses aging. That is quite an astute statement. So how do I know that this is a proven fact? Too good to be true, too hard to believe. But it's a proven fact. Clinical studies are done. And the clinical studies have proven that it turns the age of your heart back. And the testimonials are off the chart. Type in X39 and then type tinnitus into Facebook and read the testimonials. Type in X39 and lower back pain and read the testimonials. The testimonials are off the chart. It turns the age of your heart back, and it is assumed it turns the age of your internal organs back. And what it does, it has different benefits for everybody, but the one thing it does for everybody, it makes you look younger. Without question, you will look younger with the X39 patch. It's an incredible technology. It does a lot more than that. But for all you ladies out there, this makes you look younger by almost a decade, okay? And it does a lot more for you, a lot more. It makes you live longer. It's the X39 patch. To get the link to order this, it's very inexpensive. It's $100 a month. To get the packet, the link to order, type the word Patriot to 330-606-2304. For those who know me, text me directly. X39 patch. All right, guys.
Excellent.
Go. What were you saying?
Well, what were you saying?
We were on the
on my Safe Nights Act. So the first part would be requiring everybody to be not an independent contractor,
Right.
have them W-2.
Right, excellent.
And the reason that would also go into like welfare fraud prevention is because when you're an independent contractor, a lot of these ladies, we're going to have multiple kids on food stamps, things like that, not reporting income because, well, first of all, a lot of people aren't going to know how to do that.
Right.
We're thinking of things as complicated as tax law.
Right.
They're not getting that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're like meaning to go and violate federal law. They probably just don't have the skills to be able to do that.
I think some are meaning. A lot of people pimp the system. That's why they do work under the table, braid hair, do this and that while collecting cash and welfare. A lot of people do knowingly do this on purpose. Take jobs as an independent contractor. Maybe I file my taxes. Maybe I don't.
Well, okay.
The
IRS has been gutted.
Right.
38,000 agents have been fired.
Praise
Trump is now proposing the idea of getting rid of the income
Get
tax
rid
or
of the
largely
IRS.
limiting it.
Yes.
But they've lost their enforcement arm. CPAs calling the IRS cannot get people to call them back. They have lost their enforcement arm.
Yes.
Employees are now asking their firms to quit withholding their taxes.
Right.
It is a great day and age. But yeah, I understand your point, but maybe that problem is being solved.
I'm
So
big
for
on
me-
smaller government.
So for me, being someone, who's living in poverty or whatever,
Yes.
tax returns once a year, that's the time when you get your only money you're going to
Christmas.
have throughout the year.
That's Christmas.
But for me, I'm not ever going to want to underreport anything because you have to make at least a certain amount to even
Right.
get a tax return.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's all scam. Getting back to your story though. Okay, here I have one more solution.
As long as we don't have a say-so on where this money goes, they are literally bilking us for trillions of dollars.
Right.
I
you
think
know.
police departments need to be audited. And what I mean by that is when they come out and they say, get the newspapers, we went in with our guerrilla warfare tactics, we shut down another trafficking sting, and I'm sitting there going, did you really?
What did you do exactly?
Yeah, what exactly did you do? They do this, they get all the publicity, all the fanfare. They have the normie population celebrating them, and I'm sitting here going, I don't think you're solving human trafficking. I don't even think you're close. And what they're doing is they're keeping our thoughts way out here while the problem's over here. That's what they're
Sleight of
doing,
hand.
right? And it's because of everything that Lauren is telling us today.
Right.
And what I'm trying to say is they should be audited. There should be audited. Where number one, the audits should state whether they actually arrested a trafficker versus a prostitution.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, it should be, within trafficking, did you arrest a supplier of trafficking or a customer of trafficking?
Right.
And to what cartel does that person belong? What secret society does that person belong? And the police should be required to start creating organizational diagrams of these criminal enterprises so that the citizens can pinpoint exactly who is the El Chapo of human trafficking. That guy exists. We don't know his name, but they never want to do that.
It could be a woman.
What they want to do is they want to go get some guy who put down $20 for a sexual favor, and they bust that guy like that guy is the great threat to society. The other thing is they go after teachers. Now, what's happening in the schools is completely sick, immoral, and indecent.
Yes.
But it is not the equivalent crime as a cartel trafficking. And I'm going to explain why. Because the greatest threat to society right now is that you're at a convenience store in 59, you look away from your 6-year-old child for a minute, and they're snapped up in the back of a van hitting down 59, being violated immediately for the Mexican border.
Right.
That's the greatest crime. Or same scenario, walking home from a park. Yes. That is the greatest threat to society. And what I'm trying to say is that crimes should be on a diagram based on the level of severity, based on the level of threat to society. And the number one threat is trafficking-wide enterprise organizations, right? There's lone wolf traffickers. They should hang by their necks. But the greatest threat to society is enterprise-wide trafficking that can scale. And I've had two guests on. One's Lauren, one's another woman earlier, Kim, earlier, about over a year ago. And from my analysis, it seems like there's two groups that are the true threat to society. It is the cartels and it is the secret societies, okay? And by the way, they all go up to the top and they connect at Epstein Island. And we need to make that diagram, build it all out, find out all the blackmail that's been happening, and have a picture perfect, clear focus of what this crime is. If we solve that, basically society's fixed.
I think Child Protective Services needs to be audited as well,
Yes,
right along with what we're talking about, because they have a part to play in all of this. And, you know, we think that these criminal organizations and enterprises don't have people working at CPS, don't have people working in these little organizations. Oh, yes, they do. They absolutely do. And so they have lists of what types of children that they need to take, what they need to look like, what types of features that they should have. And they're out searching for these kids to you know, like a list, like a grocery list.
I need to tell you something on that topic, and this is probably going to disturb a lot of people. But remember when I said, hey, my door got kicked in, you know, but nobody got arrested.
Yes.
Same time my door got kicked in, besides my kids, all the kids that were living in that household, CPS went to the school, to the public school. Mine weren't in public school. Went to the public school and removed them immediately. CPS did. They took custody of the kids immediately in the public school. And guess what?
They
Nobody even got charged for a crime.
See, okay.
Wait, say the story again. They kicked. Say it again from the beginning.
So the police kicked in the door at the same time
at
when
the cartel's
kids were
house.
I don't know what it was, but they kicked in the door at the same time. They were in the elementary schools picking up all of the kids, taking custody of them.
And who were the kids? Who were the parents of the kids?
Just their parents, because like a lot of people lived in one household. And so they took all of these kids, and the state took the kids away, but then the state didn't turn around and even prosecute the crime.
There was no legal due process whatsoever.
None.
But see, the thing is, when you sign your kids over into a public school, see, a lot of parents sign these papers when they're enrolling their children, not realizing that a lot of them have signed over their own authority to the school. So, and schools are commanded to report. You know, whatever. And so they have a connection with Child Protective Services. So if they come in, you have no say so as a parent, because that school now becomes their parent, and they're going to give your kids to them. They're not going to stand in the way and say, no, you can't have these kids. Let me call their parents. They won't do that. They won't do that at all, actually.
And the horrific part about it is I don't want people to sit here and think that all of these people are terrible people, especially when it comes to the drugs, because those parents in that household were very protective, very good parents, but they were just doing what they were taught to do, what they were raised to do.
Right.
They didn't know any other
What
type
authority
of life.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of the story. Well, what authority did they have to kick in the door?
Drugs.
Okay, so
But
they kicked in a drug
nobody was
house.
arrested.
Nobody was arrested. In fact,
And the kids were taken.
The kids were taken. So when I walked back,
So these are people that, again, you know, like we have. I talked about the severity of crime. Everyone does something a little bit, right?
Right.
And so these people were casual drug users.
No, not users. Not
They were
users.
sellers.
They were sellers.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
but regardless, though,
nobody
they
was
got
arrested.
Nobody was
Nobody was
arrested,
arrested.
and they took all their kids.
So what? So did they get their kids back, or are the kids just disappeared? They disappeared.
It took them. One of the kids was only like 2 months old at the time. They didn't get their kids back for like 3 or 4 years, but during that time, nobody was ever charged with a crime. And in fact, I was pregnant at that time, and so I was the only person to go back into the house. And when I went back into the house, there was a piece of yellow paper that said everything they confiscated and a detective's number. And so, you know, I'm from the suburbs. I'm not from like there or whatever. I call this detective up. I'm like, look, I am 6, 7 months pregnant. I don't want you to come tackle me in the street. Like, where do I go? They were like, oh, well, we've been watching you for a long time. We're aware of your situation. Okay, so you've been watching the house for so long. You do what you do. You take the kids, but you don't arrest anybody. And like I said, that's the point where my mental health it died because I was under the constant thought of surveillance, but nobody was being held accountable. And so I want to get on another subject as far as police accountability.
Yeah.
They're not going to like it, but I've already been appointed. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was just appointed by the city manager of the city of Austin to the Community Police Review Commission.
Yes. Awesome.
Yes, girl.
Congratulations.
So, but tell me why I just get an email from them 2 days ago, right? Talking about we as commissioners may be called into court to testify on some of these cases that we're reviewing. My first thought was this is alarming because I'm living in a liberal city and, you know, liberals, their idea of public safety is not what really helps public safety.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, so you're saying sitting commissioners can be, you know, subpoenaed to go in court to testify on in an ongoing case, which is alarming. But at the same time, like, I'm really up there to clean shop because I know a lot. And at this point, I'm not afraid of any of these people in government. I'm not afraid of anybody in the cartel
Right.
because I've survived things that people have not even imagined in their life. And frankly, I got a bright red car. Come get me. Nobody's trying to come get me. You know, that's why that's why my political opposition has just been, you know, unleashing the most ridiculous, heinous stories about me. And that's why the Republican Party is fighting so hard for me to not get in because frankly, I'm nobody's bitch.
Oh. Well, you're a threat. When you're a threat, they want to try to smear you and do whatever they can. But I would just take it as a compliment,
Oh,
personally.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go because
Just
I'm ready
take
to
it.
clean up this government.
That's
So I
right.
can tell you, you know, after I got my education and things like that, when I first studied the Constitution, I'd already had a law class under
Yes.
me. And so reading the Constitution at that time, knowing like legal
It
language,
solidified everything.
oh my gosh. And I was so excited. So then I graduate and I get basically in the government, you know, I'm moving around. This is not how it's supposed to be. And so
Right.
you've got this document that I'm absolutely in love with, that I
Right.
found a passion for, which literally pulled me out of, you know, my mental decline because
That's
of the
right.
police and because of the cartel. And so like my only thing is I'm like, oh, my kid's in the Constitution. And
That's
so like
right.
I'm ready to get up there in Washington, D.C. and drain the actual swamp. And if anybody gets in my way, good luck, try me.
Sad that you have to wade through the swamp to get
That's
to attack
okay.
the swamp. You kind of have to wade through it because, you know, when you're running for Congress, as I was before, you start to attract. It's almost like this demonic force that begins to try to oppress you in a different way, right? And so you start having these interactions with people that are snakes. you
Okay,
know?
so you said that you at one point in time went into public housing, some sort of and that you said that was more abusive than the cartels or something of that sort. Tell us about that.
So, you know, the way I finally got like stabilized and out of all of that situations and stuff, I came up for the waiting list for the public housing.
Yes.
I moved into Booker T. And, you know, I'm like, yay, I'm finally going to get, you know, a stable place to live for the first time since
Right.
I'm 16 years old. And, you know, I thought that was going to be the greatest time of my life and time to improve. But when I got in there, I realized, well, first of all, I'm around a whole bunch of new gangs. And I'm not going to go into details on how I had to act up, but I got in there and I had to act up.
Were
I
they
had to,
cartels or gangs?
those gangs, street gangs. And so, you know, I had to make a name for myself real quick. And so I got in, I made a name for myself. I thought that was going to be fine.
Okay, like is it like you have your own unit, like your own apartment, or what is it?
So they are kind of like townhomes. And so there would be maybe five townhomes. And the place that I was at, the particular building, the office was right here. There's a big cul-de-sac, and then all the buildings were right here. But you have to understand, in public housing, these people.
It's like a city. Everybody's in your business.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. They know when you moved in. They know who lived in your apartment before you
And
did.
they haze you.
Yeah, immediately. They
haze
do.
you. And so
they test you. They provoke you. Yeah, very familiar.
yes, I mean
It's a hood mentality.
It is, but it like you have to understand. I'm coming from, and I'm not trying to put down gangs. I don't want any retaliation, but like I'm coming from big boy gangs,
Right.
into like these
Low
other
level.
and I'm like, you have no idea, like why are you even messing with me? Like
What they do? So first of all, tell us what they did. When you move in? What do they do?
So, I have PTSD and things like that. People will come and climb on top of your roof and bang on all your windows and doors in the middle of the night, and then they'll bang on your doors.
Intimidation tactics.
Yeah, and like they'll kick your door in and stuff. And so this is also during the pandemic. If you call the police won't show up.
No.
And so I was lucky in that old projects that I was at because there was stairs right before the front door. So you could take a piece of wood and jam it right there. And so they couldn't kick that door in. And, I had cameras set up. Here's the craziest thing. And I swear this is 100% true. So one night, somebody's trying to kick in my door. I get my shotgun because, when somebody hears that, they're going to run.
Yes.
And so I'm walking down my stairs. I cock my shotgun and obviously they ran. I immediately went to go to my camera footage because I have cameras throughout the house. In that second of me walking down the stairs, cocking my firearm, walking back upstairs to get my phone to look at the camera footage, maybe a minute at the most, the camera company had already erased the footage. They even erased me walking down the stairs with my gun. And so my problem with that is that was my protection. Had that person kicked in my door and I would have defended my family, my evidence to protect myself is gone.
Why do they cut the footage?
I think they don't want the liability, but it's like, okay, how so quickly were they able to remove this?
Management wanted it gone.
No, friend, here's my theory. It was the police still monitoring me after all of that time.
Oh.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and I know this is a little extreme. I do believe that it was under FISA. Because hear me out, in public housing, all of our internet is owned by the city, right? I'm not allowed to go get my own internet. So the only thing that I could think of is they were using my door being kicked in like 10 years before that to illegally surveil me through FISA because they thought it was the cartel. But like, again, I'm not even connected. At this time, I've gotten away from these people.
But they don't understand. Here's the deal. You were connected to them at one time, but they understand that it's kind of a lifelong thing, that, it's kind of a blood in, blood out. And why are you still alive?
Right. Because they tried to kill me. I survived.
Right.
But I think like also the way you manage yourself. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it works, right? So they get the mom all doped up. They want the mom to die so they could take the kids because that's their kids, you know? And so when the mom survives and the mom survives CPS and the mom doesn't get their kids taken away, a lot of these gangs, not gangs, but, mafias, whatever, they actually have a rule that they're not allowed to harm women and children.
Right, supposed to.
Yeah. And so I don't think the drugs falls in that category. They could dope you up, but they can't physically harm you. And so I believe the thing that's different about me and anybody else is because I survived the hood and I didn't lose my kids.
Right.
Like those are still my kids, so they can't have my kids.
Right.
And after this point, I would say, I've gotten involved with the government, which I'm sure put a super big target on my head at one point. But I think everybody in the state of Texas realizes at this point, my ultimate goal is government corruption, because the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is government corruption. Government corruption creates and makes these cartels and these gangs last.
It enables them.
It enables them. And so that is my goal. And it's not, I know that the American people would like to see justice in the way of sitting people that are actually committing like the corruption to be placed in jail and things like that. Right. And I'm going to say, I know that's not going to happen. Right. We know that's not going to happen. But at least you could have someone like me up there and get in their face like, look, I know you did this, this, and this because I was there.
Right.
Sit down, stop running, get out of the government.
That's not intimidated.
Okay, so when the gangs are screwing with you, and you sort of stare them down because you've dealt with, large scale operation cartels.
Yeah. I don't know if that's supposed to be funny because, like, looking back, like, oh, that was trauma. Like, that was trauma. You have to understand, like, I got saved, I found Christ, and, like, I got this purpose, and I'm ready to go.
We are born again
tell me
now.
about that, though. Like, tell me about how you stared down the gangs.
Oh my gosh, what? I want to freak you out, but
I mean, she's
like,
cocking her shotgun, walking down the stairs. She's about that life.
I'm about that life. I really am. And here's the deal: like, we can make assumptions about what our own CSA or CIA and NSA does to American citizens, right?
Right.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, the cartel, their technology is, in my opinion, probably superior.
Yeah.
And they don't have any like legal things going on. And
Right.
so I know that, and I'm sure even still today, there's not one point in my life that either like our federal government or the cartels are not actively monitoring me. So I'm just sitting here in the middle like, hey, I don't care. I really don't care because God gave me that.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so I have a question. So where are we at right now with the strength of the cartels? Because I talked to an ICE agent, and he's like, there's 30 million illegals in the state, in the country, and there's only 5,000 ICE agents that can police them. But it's going to be tripled to 15,000 by April, and at the same time, these 30 million people, anyone can. They are very vulnerable to being taken out because, if anyone can report them. So, if you owe money to an illegal alien, you just call and report them and they're gone. You don't have to pay the money back. I mean, I know that's a bad example, but I'm just trying to show you the situation. If they owe money to anyone or if they cross anyone in any way, shape, or way, they just get rid of that person, right? And ICE will take them out. And he told the story of this woman, this guy who had to pay child support to his wife who was an illegal alien. And he called ICE. He's like, look, I'll take the kid and you get her and take her out of the country. I don't pay child support. I don't want to pay child support anymore. And so ICE went and took her and took her out of the country, right?
Because he had to pay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, the bigger point is that the floodgate is stopped. There's nobody else coming over the border. And now this group is held captive. It's not growing. Tell me what you think, what you're thinking right now.
Okay, so I don't know if you're gonna like my opinion.
Yeah,
This is an honest opinion. So there's only one difference between federal agencies and like major criminal organizations like the cartel.
Right.
That one difference is loyalty.
That's right.
And so our American federal government has no damn loyalty.
None.
Right.
Zero.
None. You
Yes.
can't trust anybody. Everybody's a backstabber.
Unless money's involved, there's no loyalty.
Right. And so that's the problem right there. And so that's why, when I have Republicans coming at me in a certain way, I'm like, you don't understand. Like, when I'm loyal to something, I'm loyal to something.
Right.
And I chose a side. I'm not. I know we're supposed to work with the Democrats, but no, this is my side. Like, I'm a Republican, and that's the thing. And, there is one exception that I have that the street life, how I grew up, did not have. So it used to be, you screw me over, you're going to pay.
Right.
Right. But now I let everybody go ahead, screw me over one time. You come up to me, you say, look, I'm sorry.
Right.
We're good.
Vengeance belongs to God.
Right. And so I'm not going to say anybody in, that type of environment will ever do that. They won't do that. But I have that. So you come to me, you apologize for what you did. We're good. But you
Yes.
screw me over again and it's not the same story.
Right. You won't meet the same person.
Yeah, that's the difference. And I think that we need to have more loyalty in our American government.
Well, okay,
To our country.
I guess I understand your point. My question is, I have to think that the strength of the cartels is loosening by closing that border, by all the things that come with starting to deport illegal aliens. I have to think the cartel's strength is weakening.
So what do you do when you're backed into a corner? You adapt, right?
Right.
And so they're adapting by opening legal businesses,
That's
doing legal
exactly.
things. And so, they're doing everything legal now. So it's going to make it harder.
But if they're doing things legal, then they're not violating any laws. Which
Yes, they are.
Okay,
well,
what are
because
they doing?
they still, you got good money and bad money.
Yeah, right, uh-huh.
But I think that it's going to get to a point, yes, with the border being shut down, besides like methamphetamines, We're going to be fine on the marijuana. Well, not marijuana now because California, but
Right.
so like
because marijuana is legal is what you're meaning, right?
right. And I have a whole nother problem with that because you can put fentanyl in it. Like in Austin,
You can put fentanyl in
Okay,
everything.
so
Ourselves labeled fentanyl.
but okay, so they're weakening because largely
I wouldn't say they're
marijuana's-
weakening.
Go
They're
ahead,
not
tell me
weakening.
what you think.
I don't
about
think
it.
they're weakening. I think they're going into corporate America.
They're reorganizing.
I have a friend who's a Crip. He was telling me, you think the Crips aren't doing anything? They're opening businesses. They're working in corporate America. They're marketing agents now. They're doing AI.
Yeah.
They are literally entrenching themselves into
every aspect.
the next level that we're
But
going.
how are they being a threat to society?
They are a threat to
But
society.
I'm asking how.
They're smart.
Go ahead.
She
Tell
said
me
they're
she-
smart.
Yeah, tell me what you
I
think,
mean,
Lauren.
yeah, but I think, okay, we have to think of, I guess, like the evolution of society. And so I'm saying, you know, there are good people and bad people in every situation, right? But, you know, just like in my situation with my family, like you're born into this is your lifestyle, right? So you don't know anything different. And those people were actually really good, generous people, help their community, they take care of their
Yep.
family. They're not
Yep.
causing any harm. They're just doing what they were born to do. And so I think now with, you know, the border sealing up, they're going to continue to evolve and hopefully all of those people on the bottom, the ones that are really causing all the chaos and trouble, they're going to fall out.
Yes.
Or, you know, people higher up are going to end up being like, you know what, we can maybe step in for the American government and remove these people because like they're not doing it.
Right.
You know, they're ready to be American families and normal law abiding citizens.
Who are you referring to?
Like people that are in gangs and things like that. Like
Then you're
we
answering
grow
my
up.
question that like it is healing.
Yeah, it is healing.
I think there's some healing going on. I mean, I think when we say like they're getting weaker, I think they're actually expanding more.
Yes.
They're going global.
But in a good way.
Now, but I think their mindset has shifted from being more like terrorists to just money. So now they're when your mindset shifts that way, you kind of start going into corporate. You start moving globally because they want billions and trillions of dollars. So they can't get that doing this low level criminal activity.
Right.
You have to expand. You have to become bigger and you have to make a brand.
Right.
So I think a lot of the things that, you know, like were issues, like Lauren's issues, right? Her parents didn't have the financial ability to take care of a pregnant daughter.
Right.
And then that again, when she went to her boyfriend's house, they came to the same conclusion. And I think a lot of it, there's a lot of it, right? The restoration of the family unit, everything like that needs to happen.
Yes.
But then on top of it, one of the biggest issues is a weakening economy.
Yes.
And this has absolutely been a tactic to use to take us out. We're all when everyone's in a desperate state, they make bad decisions. And how is it a weakened economy? Well, okay, first of all, you have the Federal Reserve, which through the process of inflation, printing dollars, they can just keep siphoning our money, stealing it out of our bank accounts. And you know what I really hope is that we're on the precipice of healing in ways that are unimaginable our economy by when President Trump he begins the attempt to restore American industry by applying tariffs to protect American industry.
Yes.
I think that's a big deal. By hopefully soon getting rid of the income tax, by getting rid of property taxes.
Yes.
And of course, I think that we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve.
Absolutely.
But Lauren, tell me what are your thoughts on the United States economy, and when you are Congresswoman, what would be your economic agenda?
So I'm going to come at you with my subject matter expertise. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here like every other politician and believe that I know everything about the economy and economics and whatever, because I don't. But what I do know is what it's like to be on the bottom. I do know what it's like to be in poverty and to be living on these welfare systems and how they trap you into dependency and how ultimately the middle class is paying for the lower class to stay the lower
Absolutely.
class. And so my subject matter expertise will be getting and digging into that legislation, get some teeth in it to ensure that the welfare system is reformed so it's no longer a cycle of dependency. It's going to make people who get off of welfare rise up, self-sufficiency. It's going to reward that.
Incentivize the
And
American
save
dream.
the middle
Yes.
class their darn hard-earned money.
My
The
goodness.
working class needs their hard-earned money. And so, again, I'm the right person for that because that is my subject matter expertise. And also, when these big lobbyists get in my face, what do you think I'm going to say to them?
You're not going to
Buzz
come
off.
Yeah, you're not going to fold. I know that.
I have a feeling they're not even going to knock on my
It's going
door.
to be interesting
You're
because
tenacious. I like that.
you're a threat of epic proportions to
Yes.
the
I know.
establishment.
Yes.
And, when you stare down a bully, the bully heals.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
You're helping them.
Yeah.
You're
No,
really
I don't.
helping them.
I do appreciate what you're saying, but my point is that you got to bully a bully to make him go away. I don't have any sympathy for
Right.
bullies.
No.
And see, I'm a calculated bully, so that's a little different than these people. Like, I'm a calculated
Bully him
bully.
back.
Yeah, I don't tolerate bullying.
No,
I don't.
not at all.
I walk around with no fear, no favor, no compromise. And while I believe that some areas you can come to agreements on, agree to disagree, but I think when it comes to things that are right and things that are, we have to stand on those things 10 toes down, even at the risk of our lives.
I think that we're at a time where it's ripe for change in the welfare system
Yes.
because it's been used. It should be a temporary solution for people in need, right?
Yes.
It should always be there. But it's been an ever expanding 100-pound weight on our back that's sinking us
Right.
and drowning us. And so I really think that it's a ripe opportunity. And
Radical
I think,
social change on the Republican side.
Right.
yeah.
That's what I think.
I agree.
Okay, we'll finish up with one last thing. Let's talk about Republicans because I personally think that Democrats are they are an entrenched system, but they are a dying at the same time. That they are no longer the cool kids; they are now the dorks, the geeks, and the losers. And I feel like the grassroots element
Yes.
are actually the cool kids.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is a Republican establishment that's semi-Democrat, and they are here to fight us. And we were talking about this, how they get up there, they say faith and family,
Faith, family, freedom.
faith, family, freedom, and then we give them this pass. We need to be a little bit more cynical towards Republicans. Tell me what you guys think about that.
Well, first of all, on all my Facebook posts, I end with God, family, country.
Yes.
So, but I'm like, now I feel bad
Well,
about
my
that.
point
But
being-
I really
no,
mean
no, no,
it.
no, no, that's
I
not my
really
point.
No,
mean
no,
it.
no.
The
Because
point
see-
is, do you back that comment up with more substance?
If you have action, you have substance, there's something different. These people get up, they utilize this coin term, faith, family, freedom, and then it's like, oh, let's vote for him. He looks the part. He's
Right.
this, she's that, whatever. And they've said those key things because they have nothing else to say, nothing else to bring to the table, nothing at all. But they say these things, but is that their real
right?
life?
They say these things and then they
Faith
endorse.
in what?
They say
Whose
these things.
family?
They say these things and then they endorse the establishment system that we're in today.
That keeps us in
Right.
bondage talking about freedom.
yeah.
So I'm in a really unique situation because I'm in the straight belly of the beast. I'm in Austin, Texas.
That's right.
Like, I'm walking distance from the Texas Capitol.
That's right.
And so not only did I fight for that district and redistricting because I have a path to win,
Right.
but I'm sitting here. It's like Rhino City. Like I
Yes.
live in Rhino City, and so my own local Republican Party, even though I was a precinct chair, they're out to get me because I'm different.
Right.
And they're the ones that are actually, coming after me, which is interesting because I have Democrats in the city coming to me asking for advice.
Right.
They're asking how they can improve themselves. And I think that's a really wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, there's things that I cannot with the Democrat Party when you are transitioning our children
Yes.
and you're pushing this agenda that everybody in our schools have to be gay. I can't stand that.
Nope.
Okay, but our Republican Party, me being in the heart of the city, it's nothing but rhinos, which I learned a lot of people don't actually know what that means. That means Republican in name only. So they're actually Democrats running as Republicans because they know this is Texas. The only way they can get elected is to be a Republican, except for in my city or the major cities because it's blue.
Look at the Republican Party. It's made up, and excuse me for what I'm getting ready to say. Don't tar and feather me. But I look at all of the meetings that's going on. It's always elderly white people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They need to appeal to the millennial. We're all
That's why
millennials.
they're pushing me out because,
right.
yeah.
They need to appeal to the younger crowd, and they need to stand on principles that our age group can hold on to, tangibles. Are we going to be able to buy homes? Are we going to be able to, to afford property? Are we going to be able to counteract the socialist movement? Are we going to be able to make our government smaller, or are you trying to make us dependent on the government and create socialism under our very noses?
Right.
Like, what is really happening? They're not appealing to the younger crowd. They're carting around a bunch of elderly white people, and these individuals are dying off. I'm not trying to be mean. They are dying. And so what happens to the great state of Texas, a red state at one time, in 20 years, 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
10 years.
And then one of the things about my situation that like somebody from the National Republicans needs to look into. So my primary opponent, she was an appointed Democrat mayor in California just 3 short years ago. She has socialist perspectives. She's a Democrat.
Absolutely.
And she's being pushed by a SREC member. So that's a state Republican executive committee member.
Yes.
And so I want to educate real quick. So you have your precinct chairs,
Yes.
which are little blocks all over that are people like me. You're sitting in the precinct chair. Then above that, you have an SREC, which is going to cover Senate districts.
Yes.
And then on top of that, you're going to have the Republican Party of Texas. So why do I have SRECs that are able to use their position of power to push a Democrat to run against me? And I want to talk about this real quick, if that's okay.
No, please go.
I actually I was one of the first, and I might be the only Republican in this district to ever get a national endorsement. I got it right off the jump, real quick. And so as soon as I got this national endorsement, my Democrat Republican primary opponent, her team, and the SREC member went and got on that social media post where they announced it and attacked them and told all these lies about me that were 100% fake. And so that company ended up turning around and removing the endorsement because they could not have the drama. They're like, whoa, this is too much drama. Like, we like you. We're not sure what's up. But like, we don't want this drama. Okay, whatever. So I do, the smart thing that any, educated person would do, because I'm going to fight you in the court. I'm not just going to fight you on the streets. I'm going to fight you in the court. So I go and I draft me up a nice lawsuit, and I sue this sitting SREC member for election interference, because that's what it was. That was election interference. I ended up losing 3 national endorsements because of that, because they were all in the process of endorsing me. So I'm, in Democrat City, getting 3 national endorsements. He ruined it, right?
Wow.
So I filed this lawsuit. As soon as he finds out about the lawsuit, obviously he's not happy about it, whatever. I get a email in my inbox from this sitting SREC member, Randy Perham.
Real quick, what is SREC?
State Republican Executive Committee member.
And what does that mean?
They cover the Senate district for the Republican Party. So
Are they elected officials?
within the party. It's a party elected official.
Okay, it's like a high level precinct chair.
I was going to say it's like a Senate precinct chair.
It's a Senate precinct
Okay,
chair.
go ahead.
And they kind of report directly to Abraham George, who is the
got
state
you.
chair.
Mhm.
Yes.
So Randy Perham then turns around, who's pushing a Democrat candidate as an SREC, sends me an email threatening me and my children. Okay. And not only that, in the email,
How did he threaten you?
so
What did he say?
he acknowledges the lawsuit, which obviously that's retaliation, which is a crime. So I don't know why nobody's done anything. He acknowledges the lawsuit, laughs it off, then says, "You have no idea how much more difficult things can get for you and your children." And then
That's criminal right there.
First of all, you don't touch the kids.
You don't say that.
ever.
right, right.
You could take that. Can you take that to the authorities?
I would.
Oh,
go
I
to,
sure did.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say, let's file a police report
Girl,
on that. And
I
let's,
sent it in to the
we're
Austin
done
Police
with that.
Department, but I also submitted to the FBI, because don't
I
get me
agree.
wrong, through all this, even like me growing up how I grew up, I am not afraid to report things to
Nah,
the FBI.
go ahead and do that.
I need my own number. Y'all need to give me a direct line. I'm just saying. And so, I reported to the FBI. Obviously, they're not going to respond to you or whatever, but I'm hoping to shed light. So it turns out, Randy Perham is on a some kind of committee with John Cornyn's wife.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so now I have people that are running for the SREC that are endorsing my Democrat opponent through True Texas Project. They're running for the SREC. They endorse my Democrat opponent even after them threatening me and my kids. And then I have other SREC members for my Senate district endorsing my Democrat opponent who is threatening me and my children, which, by the way, I have outraised every single Republican candidate to ever run in this district, okay? With that being said, I'm only at like $90,000, which is really sad, but that proves my point again that I am the only Republican effort that has ever been made in this district. If it's going going to flip. It's going to flip right now. But this individual has only raised $4,000. Why is the SREC endorsing a Democrat from California that has only raised $4,000? That is corruption. That is freaking corruption.
I think this is actually getting to the root of a lot of the issues within the Republican Party is that there are a lot of rhinos. There are a lot
Right.
of Republicans
It's straight
in
rhinos.
name only. They're running here in Texas as Republicans, but their life is not Republican. They don't believe in any of the principles that we stand for. A lot of them will say they're even conservative, pro-MAGA. They're really just riding on Trump's coattails because they know he's popular. They know that there's money there. It's money, it's greed, it's corruption, and these individuals are not Republican. They're actually, when people say that the Democrat and the Republican Party are the two wings of the same bird, that's what they're referring to, is these establishment individuals that are corrupt, that are not actually believing in our principles, and they wouldn't die for this. They wouldn't.
Right.
You know?
And the man who's doing this, Randy Perham, he's also a veteran. Like, he's a veteran, and I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and he's the one that got this article. So Current Revolt, my opponent's team got Current Revolt to write an article of me, a human trafficking survivor, that literally said, hooker turned congressional candidate, and it got hundreds of thousands of views across the internet.
I think it would get you a lot of exposure.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's
I
great.
don't know if people will look at that bad.
Well, okay, but
I mean, it is.
People love a story like yours.
It's
It's an
awful what
underdog
they
story.
did, but I'm saying it might work against
I'm
them.
telling you, your story, first of all, you were a victim.
I like to say survivor.
I know, but you were at one time a victim.
Right.
So for them to write such a hyperbolous headline,
Yeah, right.
you know, it was it had an intention, but I think it backfired. And I think every bit of exposure that these people are trying to do, your main character, you are the main character in their
I know.
story.
Looking at it now, I shouldn't have ran for the United States House of Representatives. I should have ran for Senate because I'm telling you, I have gotten so much Texas exposure.
Right.
It is ridiculous. I'm one of the most talked about candidates in the state of Texas.
Excellent.
Like,
Excellent.
it should be me and Jasmine Crockett up there debating, bro, because I'm really from the streets. Like, let's go.
Oh, I can't wait to see her. This has been entertaining. I can't wait to see her lose to Tallarico. I think he's the better choice that could come up against a Paxton or a Cornyn.
Did you watch the debate, their debate?
Yes, I did.
So there was one question that they were debating, and I was praying that Tallarico would answer the way he did, and it was, would you support articles of impeachment against Trump? And so
Right.
the whole time before he's talking, I'm like, Tallarico, please say no, because like I'm kind of rooting. He's a Christian, but
Right.
also like I have issues with.
I'm low key rooting for him over.
Right.
I mean, I don't want Jasmine.
And so
in there.
he did not agree to do the impeachment against
Right.
Trump, and I
Right.
think that killed his race.
Well, here's the problem. I think he should have worded it differently. They're wasting time doing that. They're
that's a
wasting
good one.
the American people's time focusing on Donald Trump. You need to figure out, with whatever he's implementing, figure out how to help your people in your
Right.
district. You're not focusing on the people. You're not serving the people when you're focusing on Donald Trump. Serve the people.
Right. And I mean, this is a biased opinion because I just got involved with politics, and honestly, I didn't have time when I was locked in facilities to be doing history.
Right.
But I think Donald J. Trump is the greatest president in American
I love
history.
Donald Trump.
Yes, and I had a Christmas wish. I was like, I just want to shake his hand for Christmas.
That was my Christmas wish too, girl.
Donald, we need you, please, Mr. President.
Come on, Mr. Trump. We love you. I've never
really
loved
do.
a president, but I love this man.
Yeah.
I will be honest. I wasn't sold. I knew he was going to win in 2016. I wasn't sold on him completely because I was still wiping off the dust from the sorcery. But that's neither here nor there. But about 2017, 2018, I started really coming around, and it was like I saw the heart of him. I prayed and I asked God, I said, show me, is this the guy that you're choosing? Or is this a judgment for us? And God showed me, this is the one that I've chosen. And I even knew that he would not get elected right after his first term. But that time was a space for the American people to learn a valid lesson with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We learned we didn't want that, right? Then he got reelected. And it's like, now he's about that business. He's so focused. He doesn't give a crap about these people. They've
love
tried
it.
to kill him. They have tried to take his family out. They have tried to hurt him in every way imaginable. But
We relate to him now.
right,
As I said, the
He-
whole
he's
hood
the
has his
man.
back. The whole hood
He
has your
is
back.
Like, he has shown us what would happen if a regular person like us ran for president.
All right, guys, we're good. Oh man, it's an incredible hour. I thank you, ladies, both.
Yes. Told you we could talk.
Lauren, how do people donate to your campaign?
Yeah, so you can go to lauren4congress.com. There's going to be a donation link on there. Also, I would appreciate it if you follow me on social media. I really, like building up that following because I want to share this journey with you guys. I want you guys to see what it's like to go from the ground and get in there and fight. And I'm going to, continue to record everything, share my story with you, be open and out with you guys. I want you guys to know everything. This is about transparency.
Yes.
But I also want to tell you that all of my donations, except for a few, have only been $10, and I appreciate that even more. So your $10 means so much more to me than these PACs because I'm not taking corporate PAC money.
Amen.
I don't care about any of that. I want your $10 because it shows me you support me, and it really keeps me going. So just go to lauren4congress.com, hit that button, follow me on social media, and I promise I will continue to fight for the American people. I'm not afraid of anybody.
Great. Awesome. Alexandria, tell us, when is your primary? When does it happen? And tell us how we learn more about you.
I'm the only Republican in my race.
Is it a Democrat-centric area, or can you win it?
Yes, it's pretty much a Democratic area, but I truly believe with name recognition, telling people to align with my plan. I'm not asking them to change their party. I'm asking them to come along and agree with what I'm proposing for District 146. I'm a make-up 3rd Ward, part of Sunnyside. The area over near Old Spanish Trail, Yellowstone, that area is going to encompass my area, which was originally, when I ran for Congress, that was part of my original district in 9 before the redistricting. But I'm really happy to be among people that really want to see change in their community. Right now, I'm in a transitionary period. Stay tuned. Follow me on social media, Alexandria Nicole Butler. Like I said, no Republican opponent. You'll find details on how to donate to my campaign. You can have my phone number, contact me directly. I believe in, just like my sister here, Lauren said, transparency, authenticity is my thing. If you know me personally, you know. And so just reach out. I'm here. If you need prayer, reach out. I'm here. If you need just some advice or just want to talk to a friend, I'm here. God bless you.
Great. Thank you very much. And this is Chris Easley with the Chris Easley Radio Show. See you here back next week with one more hot topic. Have a great week.
This is The Chris Easley Show, coming to you from Radiodabang, the North America's premier broadcasting network.